Hey, Ashtree here. Today I want to talk to you about catastrophizing. What is catastrophizing? Catastrophizing is believing that the worst case scenario is reality. So in other words, making a mountain out of a molehill.
I find it really hard to not wish my life away.
I'm just sitting here.
I don't want to be alive.
They get overwhelmed by the darkness and then they leave because it's too hard. And I know this because it's what I've wanted to do so many times.
I keep wondering if this is gonna end. 'Cause every day I wake up feeling like shit.
And I'm so frustrated because all of these things are so small, but on top of each other they feel like they're the end of the world. I'm completely overwhelmed by my existence. I want to run away from everything. I want the bomb to go off in my head so that I don't have to feel like I'm living on the edge anymore.
Feeling quite weak and anxious. I feel like this most mornings I find it quite hard to get out of bed. I'm a very positive person. I'm very optimistic and I have big hopes for the future, but my constant anxieties and fears, they make it hard to pursue such dreams. I'm scared that my anxiety will hold me back, my fear of failure.
Catastrophizing is really letting your imagination run far too far down the dark side of your mind. And it's unnecessary and it's unhelpful because it can cause an individual to become very dysfunctional. So say for instance, someone's a conspiracy theorist and they constantly think, oh, the whole world system's going to collapse, so I'm not going to become a part of the system, and then they don't get a job, or they don't find a way of having an income, or they don't sustain themselves, and they become a dependent individual who needs to be provided for, and they're actually like a problem. Or say like fear, like, oh, if I try and go get that job, or I try and pursue this passion of mine, everyone's going to laugh at me, or I'm going to fail and I'm going to lose my house, or I'm going to lose my partner, or I'm going to die, or it's like assuming the absolute worst is reality. It's like going down the fear rabbit hole but believing that it's true. And it's not true, and it's unhelpful. So that's catastrophizing. Like in a nutshell, it's literally just like being overly dramatic and negative, which we all do at certain times in our lives. But some of us suffer from this thought process perhaps a bit more than others. And that leads me to my next question. Why do we do it? Why do we catastrophize? Well, in general, I think we do live in a very catastrophic society. Like there is kind of a lot of bad stuff going on quite often.
I feel like the world is a horrible place in certain aspects. The human reality, the adult world. There's so much manipulation and using of each other,
like accidents and stuff, but also with regards to ratios, there are so many people on earth right now. It's actually likely that there's like a decent amount of accidents and deaths and stuff gonna happen. Like if you look at how many of us there are, quite a few of us are gonna die every now and then. But outside of that, like, yes, specifically in our South African context, there is like a lot of drama quite often, especially if you follow mainstream media and news and allow negativity to constantly flood into your life, then you are going to start believing that the world's a really, really bad place. And it's not true. I used to believe that. I used to only see the darkness in the world. The sadness is heavy and warm.
dis-ease on my skin as a layer is worn.
And I just couldn't find the light switch. Fortunately, I did, and I really remembered and curated a new way of looking on the bright side of life, and it is possible. But yeah, that being said, why do we do it? So yeah, as I said, generally speaking, like the world is pretty crazy sometimes, so it's not irrational to like prepare for the worst, but it is irrational to expect the worst all day, every day, 24/7, 365, your whole life, or for decades. So yeah, another really common, and another reason that we catastrophize is because of trauma. It could be childhood trauma, it could be adulthood trauma, it could just be like the trauma of being a human being. Perhaps you had a physical experience that was very traumatic, or an emotional experience where something really bad happened and you weren't able to understand your emotions and process them, or you were never validated in your experience, so the trauma is still in you. As I said, it could be physical, like a physical trauma. Your body experiences trauma very deeply, and your psyche is very deeply connected to your body. So yeah, anyway, there's 100 million different types of trauma, but if you are traumatized, your mind is likely to expect and predict bad outcomes instead of neutral or positive or optimistic outcomes. Whether they're true or not is unlikely. The mind, even though it may predict like a million bad things and they never come true, you still keep believing that bad things are going to happen, and you live in this perpetual state of anxiety, which is like such a waste of life, according to me. I lived in anxiety and fear for 10 years of my life, and have finally emancipated myself from that, and I feel alive again for the first time in a very long time. So I want to help other people feel this way too, because you don't need to live in fear. It's unnecessary. The world's not out to get you. It's just not. So yeah, we come from a traumatic place, basically, like bad thing happened, therefore bad things will happen, always do happen. Not true. Bad things happen. They don't always happen. Good things happen too. Also, bad thing, if we can shift our perception of it, could also possibly be good thing or just thing. We don't have to attach these labels or these emotions towards them. Cool. So what is it? Why do we do it? How do we overcome it? These are just some things that have worked for me. I can't say I have all the answers, but I definitely, as someone who has been there, can just share what I've done. So the first thing with catastrophizing, which is I suppose the aim of this video, is to become aware. So now that you understand what catastrophizing is, maybe you've never even heard that word before, now you have a word for it, now you understand what that word means, then you can identify, oh, I do that. I thought those people were thinking really horrible things about me, but they actually liked me. Or I thought she was judging me, but she actually just wasn't feeling good about herself, and like she was anxious, but I thought she was being rude. Or I thought my boss was gonna fire me, meanwhile they were just like a bit gassy maybe, and they pulled a funny face. Like, life is so abstract. But yeah, once you become aware of the fact that you are someone who does this, it can be very empowering, because you can be catastrophizing and then realize, like, hey, I'm catastrophizing right now. It's actually perhaps not going to be as bad as I think it is. And then you can shift your mind space. I had like an image of, those staircases in Harry Potter. Like, instead of going on that path, it's like, whoop, no, we're going to go here instead. And then you're like, oh shit, I thought I was going there, now I'm going to have to go here. Oh, this is actually better, cool. That's how your brain works. Neuroplasticity. We have the power to mold our minds. So become aware, step 1. Awesome, well done. You know what it is, and perhaps you've identified that you do it. You are now aware. Awesome. Step 2. Breathe. If you're an anxious individual, you probably have a capacity of talking really fast, or maybe not talking at all, but definitely holding your breath, and you probably don't even think about breathing. You can probably just go on for days without even breathing. Like, you don't even like breath. What's that? Huh? Anxious people hold their breath. It's a coping mechanism. Your body believes it is in danger. We are animals. Our body have this thing called the fight, flight, or freeze response. Because we're animals and our body needs to respond to things. So if there's danger coming, your body needs to react to that danger before your brain or you can. So it's a very necessary and important part of what makes us who and what we are. But on the other side of things, it can sometimes not be serving us. And in that sense, our consciousness needs to step in and be like, hey there, body, it's okay. Don't worry. I know last time or a long time ago when we were in this situation, something bad happened. But this time it's not going to happen. But telling your brain, telling your body that, words, that's not really going to help. So how you can really help your body believe that is by breathing. And there's something that I do. Just want to breathe right now. So perhaps you've heard of the concept of breath work, perhaps not, but basically breath work is just using different methods of breathing to calm your nervous system down, because it is your nervous system that is fueling your anxiety, and your feelings of anxiousness are coming from your nervous system. So you can regulate your nervous system by breathing. The breath method that I use is very simple. That's why I like it, because when I'm in those moments, I don't need complexity. I need simplicity, and I need safety, and I need peace. And that is what breathing gives to me. So what I do is something called box breath. Very simple. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. And you can do it for your own count. I find 4 to be comfortable for my lung capacity. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 8, 12, 16. 16 seconds that can really change your life. So breath is a big how do we overcome catastrophizing answer, just to physically actually calm your body down, because oftentimes your mind starts spinning as a result of a trigger. And your nervous system is like, we're in danger. And then your mind starts trying to find all these cognitive reasons why we're in danger. It's unnecessary. If you can just remember, become aware, remember to breathe and get back into your body, then you don't even need to go there. You don't. It's unnecessary. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your life. As someone who wasted 10 years of my life panicking, believe me, it's not worth your time. No one ever solved any problems by panicking. But yeah, seek help. That can come in many forms. Seek help can be a friend to reach out to, say, hey, I'm really scared of this happening. Like someone that you trust and are fortunate to have that you can talk to on that level. A friend or a family member. Hey, I know this may seem absolutely neurotic or totally crazy, but can I just sound it out to you so that we can have a conversation about it, and then it's out in the open, and then it's not in my head. Because when you keep stuff in your head, it can be so big and so loud, and then you just voice it to someone and you yourself can be like, wow, that's like a freaking ridiculous thought, but it sounded so real in my head. So really voicing, what a powerful tool. Especially if you've got someone that you are fortunate enough to have that safe space with. They don't have to have the answers, they often won't, but just having someone to hold that space and be like, yeah, I got you. It's okay to be scared. What happens if that happens? You'll be okay. You'll deal with it. but it's probably not going to happen, so don't even sweat it, my dude. And then on the other side of that, seek professional help. Something I did a few months ago and was really life altering for me. Woo! As I said, I have a big cognitive understanding of these things, but my body was really not processing things. I was still having panic attacks. I was still living in survival mode. Didn't know this. These are all things I found out through seeing someone. But yeah, when your body's in survival mode, it needs help. And your brain's not necessarily going to be your best friend because it's also in survival mode and it's just trying to like protect you. So finding someone who's not in survival mode, not in your life at all, rational, educated, separate and detached, they can speak into your life from a grounded and helpful but detached space. So, and don't go tell me, oh, it's so expensive, because yeah, it is, but also there's very definitely free counseling centers in your area. Do some research, my dude. Also, universities with psych departments, they always need people for their students to practice on. It may be a bit difficult, but it's definitely doable. Seek help. If you need help, please get it. Yeah. And then last but not least, apply rational thought. Yeah, my dude. It's kind of the same as I said earlier, when you talk out a thought that seemed like so big and crazy in your head, or real, shall I say, in your head, and then you talk it out and then it sounds crazy. When you apply rational thought or processes to catastrophic thinking, it generally crumbles to the ground. Because it's imaginative, it's overly dramatic, it's not real. Life's not this big crazy blockbuster movie with explosions and fighting all the time. I know people who watch too much TV might like to believe it is and might like to create this overly dramatic, overly big experience of life, but life's a lot more chilled than TV may lead our minds to believe. So yeah, apply rational thought. I think my boss is gonna fire me because they pulled a funny face at me. Like, write that out. And then write like, the last time my boss pulled a funny face at me, did I get fired? No, because I'm still here. Does my boss continue to give me worse? Yes. Haven't my boss ever warned me that I'm not good enough? No, it's all coming from inside of me. Then you can start to realize, oh, okay, this is actually irrational because I have no practical, real world reason or evidence to justify these thoughts. If you cannot justify your thoughts, so kind of go detective on yourself. So when you have these thoughts and you've become aware of them and you've breathed and you're calm, if you don't have someone to talk to about, write it out and thought police yourself. Say like, this is my thought, and then be like, how rational is this thought? Has this ever actually happened to me before? If it did happen, how did I deal with it? Because obviously it wasn't that bad if you're still here. So even if it does happen, if it's happened before, you'll be able to deal with it. But it's likely not going to happen. You can also do a pros and cons list. This is the pros of what will happen if I do this or if this happens. This is the cons of what will happen if I do this or if this happens. And then weigh them up and see, oh, okay, maybe I do want to do this, even though my fearful mind was telling me all these silly reasons why I shouldn't do it. My very rational and laid out and visible pros and cons list has shown me that I actually do want to do this thing. Yeah, so yeah, apply rational thoughts, write it out, talk it out, do a pros and cons list, explore the fear, go there with yourself, and then put it to rest. Because again, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of life to keep cycling on this what if. It's not going to happen. And understand that is coming from a physiological, meaning physical, biological. Your body is having a chemical response to a trigger, a facial expression, a tone of voice, a bright light, a loud noise, a loud voice, a bright color. Like if you're traumatized, anything can trigger you. But you don't even necessarily know you're triggered, and then you go into a triggered space, and then you start catastrophizing, and then the whole world starts feeling hectic, and you become tense, and you forget to breathe, and you're just like this, like, it's not necessary. You can just breathe. You can become aware, and you can breathe, and you can come back to the present moment in every moment. And there's no need to catastrophize, because the worst case scenario is not going to happen. It's just not. And even if it does, write it out. You'll be able to deal with it, I promise. So I'm going to post a Google Docs worksheet. I think it'll be on Google Docs or Google Drive. A worksheet that you can download and use to go through if you are catastrophizing. You can help yourself identify the situation and rationally question the situation, reflect upon the situation, and then hopefully come out it on the other side with a different perspective. I will link that below. And yeah, cool. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. And yeah, I've only just begun. Let's keep chasing the sun and see where this thing goes. Much love, my dudes. Namaste every day.